Who are you?
My name's Chris Aubin, owner of Bowling Green Pipe and Cigar in 1044 State, Bowling Green's smallest bar.
Okay, so that's what you own and everything, but who are you? Where are you from? Are you from Bowling Green? Where does Chris Aubin hail from?
So I was born just outside of Chicago in '85, the year the Bears won the Super Bowl, so I come by that honest. Anyway, I grew up in East Tennessee. My dad's job moved us there, and then I came to Western in 2003, so I've been here for the last 15 years, and all but one of those years I've lived downtown.
How'd you move from East Tennessee to Western?
So, coming to Western, good friend of mine when I was young, Andrew, my business partner at both of my bars, he and I grew up together, and then he moved back to Bowling Green after our freshman year, and then a mutual friend of ours and I came up here for Western, mainly to go to school, but it was a nice bonus to have friends here already.
And Andrew's from here though, right?
Yes, Andrew's originally from here.
So you met Andrew, and basically you're here because of Andrew.
One could argue that point, I suppose.
And that he's helped keep you here. Now you went to college. What did you go to college for?
So I originally started off for business management and switched over to hospitality management.
Okay. And then what'd you do? You went where right after college? Like, what was your first gig? You and Andrew worked at what, Tumbleweed?
We worked at Tumbleweed together during college, and then when Tumbleweed was...
What'd you do at Tumbleweed?
Pretty much anything back of the house.
Okay.
And then did some catering work as well. But for the most part, it was line cook, expo, dishwasher, prep, anything that happened in the back. And occasionally I was a hostess.
So you basically did everything but waiter?
Everything but waiter or bartender, more or less, and management.
Okay. And so, did you have a job before you worked there?
Before there, I worked at Blockbuster. I actually was transferred from Morristown to here, and so that worked out pretty well.
Oh, okay. So, Blockbuster, tell the millennials what Blockbuster is.
Blue and gold family video.
Okay. And so was that your first job?
That was my first job.
Okay. And then what'd you do after Tumbleweed?
After Tumbleweed, I went and did my internship down at Brenau in Georgia. Working
what
for
is that?
Brunel's a women's college down there. I worked for Aramark.
Oh, okay.
So I was doing summer camp cooking, and there were some weddings that we catered and some special events and whatnot that we did over that summer. And then when I came back, Andrew and I purchased Bowling Green Pipe and Tobacco Shop, and over the course of a month renovated into Bowling Green Pipe and Cigar.
Got rid of all the Jelly Bellies.
There's still people that come in and ask for those.
Yeah.
And we decided really early on that if we were going to be serving alcohol, we didn't want the kid bait too.
Yes.
So,
yeah. And you also changed the name.
Yes. So every owner of it, we're the fourth, had changed the name slightly. It was Bowling Green Pipe and Tobacco, Bowling Green Pipe and Tobacco Shop. Then the previous owner to us added a P and an E. Okay. So it was Old Timey Shop. And then we dropped the shop and added Cigar because we knew eventually we would be adding lounge to it.
Okay. And then let me ask you this. What was it before it was a cigar and pipe shop?
So before it was that, it's been a cigar and pipe shop for 40 years, and we've had it now for 10.
Okay.
But before that, it was a jewelry store, and before that...
Was it a hardware?
There was a hardware store for a little while, from the best of my recollection, but it was originally the Princess Theater Cafe.
Okay. And when you bought it, you were 20-something.
23.
23. And so you took an existing business that was established and everything. What were some of the hard parts of taking an established business and creating it almost in your own image and your own idea?
Right. So for the 30 years before we had it, it had always kind of looked the same, kind of did the same things. Each owner added something new to it. So the second owner added candy to it. The owner after that added coffee and golf tchotchkes and whatnot. And then we decided to get it back to its roots and go back to being more of just a strict tobacconist. But because of the climate of our industry, we knew that eventually there might be a smoking ban or there might be other hurdles that we would have to mount. And so we also added craft beer. And then a couple years after that, we became a full service bar.
Okay. And explain that, because a lot of people know we have this smoking laws.
Yes.
You actually can smoke
Correct.
in your establishment, and why?
We're one of a handful of establishments in town that most of the other ones have opened up recently, but we're the longest running bar since the smoking ban that still allows smoking indoors. The reason for that is the way the ordinance is written. There's a specific exemption for tobacconists provided X amount of their sales is derived from tobacco or related products.
Okay. And how is opening that? You're also kind of dealing with the political landscape.
Right.
You're talking to city commissioners, magistrates, state reps. You
Right.
There's
federal irons in the fire too with the new with the old S-chip stuff that came in about 4 months after we started. They were really pushing for that to happen. Taxes are constantly increasing on us. There's new FDA regulations that we have to navigate. So,
not to even mention there's a Cuba embargo that could or could not.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that no longer being the case, so 18 months later no one will care.
Yes.
But, we've been navigating ordinances and laws and various other political aspects of this industry and other industries as well. I mean, alcohol is heavily legislated as well.
Yes.
But we've been doing this now for over 10 years, so I've gotten really good at reading legalese.
Okay, and so how did that experience? You took over an existing business, you had to reshape it. Then we're sitting in Shots.
Yes, we're currently in
bar.
our second business. This is Shots Bowling.
But it was a dog grooming location.
Yes.
So how did it become the smallest bar in Bowling Green?
Well, I have to give Andrew credit on this one again because when he graduated high school, he went on the Bowling Green Europe trip.
Okay.
And Bowling Green High Europe trip, and maybe there were other schools that were involved in it too. But he's in Amsterdam. If I remember the story correctly, he's in Amsterdam, and he goes into Amsterdam's smallest bar. It's down this little side street. There's maybe room for 10 people, including the bartender, no chairs whatsoever, and it's fairly well stocked. But he loved the idea of this tiny little intimate bar, and given what we do at the shop, where we keep the music low and the TVs typically don't have sound, and we encourage people that if they need to charge their phone, they do it at the very end of the bar, so that they actually have to interact with each other and not their phone. That was one of the hallmarks of what we wanted to do here.
Okay.
And when we initially started out, it was an entirely different concept. We were still a tiny bar. We were still making our shots at the beginning of the night in large batches to serve quickly.
Okay.
We've always kind of called it the McDonald's of bars. The idea is you're in and you're out. But we also kept a pair of TVs at either end of the bar that advertised other bars and nightlife. And what we would do is put who's playing, what the cover is, what the specials might have been for that night. But on top of that, we also organized pub crawls.
Okay.
So we kind of got bars to work together when, typically they don't.
Yeah.
Bars historically kind of butt heads a little bit because they're...
Unless you're in a big tourist area.
If you're in a big tourist area, then there's so many people that are there that it doesn't matter.
Sure.
But, here with the pool being a little bit smaller and the number of establishments larger at the time, and growing now, the goal was to kind of warm relations a little bit. The idea wasn't that they had to talk to each other, they just had to talk to us, and that we would organize all this and do it. And we've been involved with the Fairness Pub Crawl. We've done ones for Vet City Roller Derby. We've done bachelor and bachelorette parties, sometimes together, sometimes separate. And corporate events and that kind of thing going through. So it's been really fun working with the other businesses in the area, bars, restaurants, and otherwise, which we've done for years at the shop. But, actively moving people from one to the next. Was or has been a lot of fun.
Well, and you also work with the cigar.
Yes.
You've worked with I remember the first one was probably the bistro, and then
cigar dinners.
Yes. And then you worked. Explain the cigar. You've done 440. Where else have you? So Country Club.
We've done cigar events at a number of restaurants downtown, specifically either the bistro, 440. We've been approached to do them at other locations that we're currently working on. The issue there is it's got to be outside, so
Sure.
that's kind of where we have to work
Not
that out.
in the winter will you
Right.
have it.
No, we have done stuff at the country clubs, all three of them here in town: Old Stone, Indian Hills, and Bowling Green Country Club. Bowling Green Country Club's probably the one that we've done the most with,
Okay.
but we're always open to doing more. We've done events with Spantech, with the Chiefs Challenge, the WKU Chiefs Challenge, when they do their charitable golf down at Kenny Perry. There was one more that I had on the tip of my tongue.
It's all right.
Yeah.
And you guys have also done stuff like at one point you've done smokes for the troops where you send them
Right.
there. You've done stuff where you've given money to different charitable organizations through purchases stuff. So you guys are active in the community. One of the questions I have is there will be some people who always complain about the cigar aspect and the smoking issue.
Right.
What's your thoughts? If people, you're not actively trying to get children in there. That's the
No,
big
not at all.
difference.
Actually, we're 21 and up, which has been a point of contention for 18 to just shy of 21-year-olds who want to come in and just make a tobacco purchase, but we are actively 21 and over. And
So you don't even sell to anyone under 21.
No, not
even
at
though
all.
you could sell to an 18-year-old.
technically we can't because we're a bar.
No, but I'm saying tobacco is legal for them.
Correct. It is legal for them, but we have to maintain a higher age limit because of our status as a bar.
How have you seen downtown change in the 10 years only?
Quite a bit. Not only just business or buildings coming and going in large facilities like Skypack and Bowling Green Ballpark, the View, the renovation of Mariah's into being steamers. But outside of that, we have seen countless businesses that have come and some who have unfortunately gone. But I think the other night I was talking to my wife Krista, and I think I counted somewhere in the neighborhood of 36 businesses that I've witnessed in the downtown area. Some of them are still there. Unfortunately, most of them aren't. But that's just the nature of small business. I think the statistic is somewhere in the neighborhood of 95% fail within a year, 97 within 3. So if you make it past that hump, you're doing exceptionally well. And not all of them are because of concept. Some of them are just because the individual doesn't want to do it anymore.
Sure.
And it's not necessarily financial. It could just be that they weren't expecting the investment of time and basically their life that it takes. But it's been really interesting to watch. We've seen countless renovations to the square and to the surrounding area, and having been able to be a part of that and part of that story and part of the vibrancy that is Fountain Square and the downtown as a whole, not to mention Bowling Green, it's been really interesting and fun to watch.
So how do you last? I mean, there's so many businesses that have come and gone.
Right.
What do you think the thing is that keeps the ones that are continually that were
Right.
ever? I mean, you've got Morse, you've got 440, you got some ones that are mainstay players, Spencer's.
Right.
What do they have that others probably needed? Is it someone who's going to dedicate some time and effort into that business?
We've, over the last decade, we've had a lot of our friends and acquaintances and people from all over that have come and talked to us about various business ideas that they've had. My first piece of advice has always been that you have to understand that if you are a business owner, you are that business 24 hours a day. Whether you're at the shop or not, whether you're working behind your counter or you're off doing something else, you're constantly representing your establishment. And that goes doubly for social media because that doesn't go away. That always exists. You can delete it if you want, but there's screen captures, there's all sorts of caches that hold all that information. And so if you're not prepared for the investment of time that it takes to be a business owner 24 hours a day, it wears on you. It's really difficult to do. And that's not to say that I'm looking for a cookie for having done it for a decade. It's just some people don't think about that aspect of the time requirement.
Sure.
And they figure, okay, I'm going to be there from my 9 to 5 or 11 to 8 or whatever their hours might be. And they think that that's the extent of it. But as a small business owner, you're up until 3 in the morning making sure that the deposit went through before the check's clear.
Sure.
Like, or you're waking up really early and having to come in because the water main broke, or there's a delivery that happened to be really early. And if you don't go down and get it, it's going back to the distribution warehouse, and then you're out of product. So that's the thing that I try to impress upon people that ask us that question first, is the time requirement.
So what would you like to see for not only downtown Bowling Green, but specifically Fountain Square going forward over the next 10 years?
Over the next 10 years, I think the big thing that we're going to need is housing. You know, with the view coming in and with the proposed other side of the College Street side of the wrap, you know, that is a lot of potential beds and roofs that are going to be in the downtown area. And once we can get that walking traffic started, we have the amenities. We have the big ticket items. We've got the ballpark and Skypack and restaurants coming in with, say, Polling's Hickory and Oak that's going
Do
to...
not mention that.
Do what?
He will hit his computer as he hears you say that.
Shout out to Josh Polling at Home Cafe and his new restaurant, Hickory and Oak, coming whenever.
Ask him about it.
Yeah, ask him about it. He loves talking about it. But, you know, it's really going to come down to walking traffic and roofs. And once we get that done, then we'll see additional businesses that can come in and thrive because... You know, I've said it for a number of years, and it's an old saying that a rising tide raises all ships.
Sure.
And, you know, adding to the vibrancy that is the area and the district at large, Warren County, works for everyone. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I know there have been times where my businesses might not have been pulling their weight. I know there have been times where other businesses may not or not have been pulling theirs. But the idea is to constantly be improving, not only for the betterment of your own business, but for the betterment of everyone downtown.
Sure. So how is collaborating with those other businesses you talked about? Because I think that's something that, you know, Buy Local has tried to do with some of the stuff we've done. But how has that been able to keep businesses relative into the conscious of everybody around? Because I think attention is the biggest key.
Absolutely.
Once you're not thought about, you can almost close up your doors.
More or less.
So are those events, are those things where you work together? You know, there's a lot of events that try to pull people downtown.
Right.
But would you say working with another business on a project is probably a little bit more beneficial than just an event?
Absolutely. You know, anytime that we've done events at the shop, we actually did one a number of years ago with a cigar manufacturer called Oliva. And they came up with this new line of cigars that they were promoting, and part of their promotion was they were going to give away a new Corvette.
Okay.
And so we were one of the locations for that. But what we did was we worked with local restaurant, we worked with a regional brewer that came in and brewed a beer and brought us a casked version of it that they had never really done before. And we put on a really nice event, but we were also not only promoting those cigars, we weren't just promoting us, we were promoting the square, doing this kind of event, and we were also promoting our partners, so our food partner and the beer partner. You know, doing things like our Founders Father's Day, where we've had Josh Polling come out and he's cooked on the sidewalk. He did brats and hot dogs one year for it, and that was great. Or utilizing other businesses for catering, or like I was talking about with the pub crawls, where it wasn't necessarily about drawing business directly to us. When we did that, we acted as the starting place, and we did all the logistical work to make sure that everybody was staggered so that the bars weren't overrun with this large group all at once. And that worked out really well for all involved. But not only that, you know, it also caused walking traffic to go in front of businesses that they might not have otherwise seen.
Sure.
Businesses that may not be open during the hours that these individuals are off, be it a dress shop or interior design or jewelry or whatever it may happen to be. I mean, there's so many different types of businesses that are downtown that it gave people an opportunity to peer in a window as they were walking past that they may have just driven past and never given a second thought to. Or the second thought may have been, I really need to go check that out. And they never remember to go do that. But working with an organization like Buy Local BG, that we had the opportunity to kind of be on the ground floor of
Yeah.
that. And, you know,
It kind of came to fruition through your cigar bar.
it didn't hurt.
Yeah.
But, you know, having watched it grow and the work that it continues to do, we're really pleased with the work that's being done through Buy Local BG. Them and Convention and Visitors Bureau with their travel guide, I see people walking in the shop with that all the time. Buy Local Guide and the CVB Guide. And so we know that works. We know that it has staying power. It's been around for 10 years just like the cigar shop has. And, you know, the online component hits people where they live. And the pamphlet is available all over town. And so somebody picking it up at, say, Southern Granite looks through and they see Spencer's. And as they're driving to Spencer's, they see the cigar shop. And while they're there, they hear somebody talking about Gerard's. That kind of chain is what Buy Local helps facilitate. And that's what keeps us all relevant.
Speaking of talking about others, where are you liking to get your meals nowadays? What's your kind of 2-3 places your go-to?
Right.
Because you're recently married, and every married couple has their 3.
Right. So our 3 are Gerard's. Proximity doesn't hurt.
Yes.
Gerard's is fantastic. Yuki.
Okay, that's not proximity.
No, it isn't. But my dad, having worked for a Japanese company for about 30 years, constantly traveling over there, traveling all over basically the earth. That is his favorite sushi restaurant.
Well, and Joe does
an incredible job. And, you know, that's no small praise.
Yeah.
That a man who has spent his life eating sushi, that is his favorite place.
Well, not only that, we got Joe, who's got Yuki that everyone talks about, and then I had a friend whose family's from India, and she said other than her mom's cooking, Indian Oven was the best place she's ever had.
India Oven would be the third that we typically get.
Oh, really? Okay.
The most, probably takeout from.
Okay.
Would be India Oven.
Really?
The other 2 we tend to go and sit down at. India Oven would be the one that we get the most takeout from. But, you know, we have plenty of old favorites too. The Bistro, Novo, and 440 being chief amongst them.
Sure. And you work a lot with those. So.
Yes, we work a lot with them, and I actually used to work at 440 in their
kitchen. What'd you
kitchen.
do at 440?
I was in their kitchen. I was one of their line cooks.
Okay. What do you enjoy most about owning Bowling Green Pipe and Cigar? Because you got a lot of things that could be headaches. You got politics, you got bills, you got all that. But when I walk in, I know everyone's talking, everyone's giving each other crap. It's like the old school. We now have an Irish pub on the square. But
Absolutely.
But you guys were kind of the original place to go if you just wanted to talk. There was no music pumping. There was no live band. It was just lawyers and dudes smoking cigars.
There were a couple of doctors and Indian chiefs in there too. But, you know, my favorite part of owning the cigar shop is probably that. You know, having an environment where you can come and not be inundated with noise, and other than the group of guys solving the world's problems that they probably helped create, but you know, it's a nice little joke that we've been running for 10 years now. But my favorite aspect of Bowling Green Pipe and Cigar is the camaraderie that's come out of it, the friendships that have been made there, not just for me, but for our patrons as well. And there are plenty of people that have, you know, happened to come in and, you know, talking to some of the regulars or talking to us, and they find a job or they find something to do or they find something that they never thought existed in town, even though it's been there now for 40 years. And the look on faces when they know that they're welcome, because it's an intimidating place to walk in at first.
Sure.
We keep it kind of dark, and it's a weird breezeway, which is way too long for what the place is. And sometimes
that helps you figure out who to ID and who not.
It does. Typically, when people push on the door instead of pull, that's a pretty dead giveaway. We need to check their ID. Which, yes, I know I have the heaviest door downtown and all that, and it needs to have a sign on it. But I just enjoy watching people try to open the door. That's my own little guilty pleasure for 10 years. But, you know, the people aspect of it, I had always been in back of the house.
Sure.
I never really worked front of the house. Aside from my time at Blockbuster, I wasn't really dealing with the public. And that made me exceptionally persnickety at times. But through bartending and through listening to people, you aren't just serving them a drink. You're listening to their talk about their day, or talking about something that isn't maybe going right for them, or maybe something that is going right with them. And so you're there to celebrate with them, you're there to serve them, but you're also there to play a bit of therapist. And it's amazing what people will tell you and share with you if you're willing to just listen. And the stories that I've been able to amass and keep over the 10 years, that is probably my second favorite bit, to just seeing the camaraderie that's come through the shop.
Well, since we're wrap this up, but I'm going to ask a question that we usually don't ask because most people don't do this. Why are you running for magistrate? I mean, why would you even want to jump into it?
The main reasons that I want to run for magistrate is because for the last 10 years, Bowling Green and downtown, in the 2nd district of downtown that I've lived in for all but one of the 15 years I've been in town, has been very good to me. Good to my friends, good to my family, and I want to give back is really what it comes down to. So the easiest way that I can think of in doing that is to serve in some form of public office, and magistrate seems to be a better fit for me. Having spent 10 years on a shoestring, longer than that, if you count being a college student, but 10 years of navigating politics and navigating taxes and navigating ordinances and legalese, and 10 years of keeping a budget and opening a second business and doing those things, the people that I've met, the people who've encouraged me to run, that's the main thing. I want to bring that experience, and I want to help protect tax dollars. I want to make sure that the people not only of the 2nd District in Warren County, but Warren County as a whole, have an advocate for them to make sure that their tax dollars are spent wisely. We have these beautiful facilities within the TIF that have been built. I've mentioned them a few times, the ballpark and SkyPack. I want to make sure that they're utilized to their utmost potential. I want to make sure that the Capitol isn't just used as a marquee. Because it's used in everything that we promote Bowling Green to be. And it's those reasons why I want to run for 2nd District Magistrate and want to serve as 2nd District Magistrate.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris.
No problem. Thank you.